Scott?
Mark?
How'd you figure my name out?
I'm just good.
We are here in support of the Holiday Hijinks Kickstarter campaign that's going on. This is from Grand Gamers Guild. They very kindly provided us with all 9 of the current Holiday Hijinks, as well as the one endangered rescue box they have out. Exact same setup for the way it works, just different theming. These are 18 card escape rooms.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
They're micro games as escape rooms. They're completely reusable. You don't destroy anything. You will want to bring paper, pen along. There's going to be plenty of note taking and solving and figuring. But so long as you don't mark up the cards themselves, you can easily play these, love them, pass them on. The other thing you need in conjunction with these is the website, where it is not an app as such, but the website is very easily laid out of go on, and then that's where you're actually going to do all your answer entry and all of your solving off of there.
Yeah, there's actually even a QR code that you can just scan with your phone, and I was actually able to do mine on my phone right here in my living room. So it was actually really, really nice. So it does go to the website, but then I don't have to have my computer or have a laptop. I can just use it off my phone.
I have played all 10 of them.
I have done 6.
And I played 3 of them with Natalie, so I got to play a few of them in quote-unquote multiplayer.
All of mine were solo.
We're coming at this from pretty different perspectives. I am very high on these.
Correct. And I am mid.
The Holiday Hijinks series, each one of them is based around some kind of special event, holiday, etc.
Yeah.
There is the Kringle Caper, which is Christmas. You have the Independence Incident, which is July 4th. Pumpkin Problem is Halloween, etc., all the way down.
There's a wedding, there's a birthday, and then, of course, we already talked about the endangered one, which is for penguins.
And there is another endangered one coming up soon, which I believe is for tigers.
Ooh.
I think.
I definitely want to see it.
The game Endangered that has the Siberian tiger cover, it's a very pretty cover, is from Grand Gamers Guild.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's why I think they spun out that way, is to kind of connect those lines and do that.
That's ingenious. I love that.
We're not going to do our whole Glacier thing here. We're not giving each one a specific review. We're just talking kind of broad strokes about how we feel, the approachability, all that. If we're starting with ease of use, I think these are really, really great because you just pop open the flaps, the box folds open, you have the deck of cards there.
Yeah, the fact that it's 18 cards, you can scan an app, it has the website, that is complete ease of use. You're not taking up a bunch of table space. Like, literally, you could go be in a corner table at a cafe. That's all the space you need.
I played on a picnic table for 2 or 3 of them.
There you go.
While the puzzles themselves will range in what all is needed, if you're looking at 18 cards, which are smaller than a standard playing card, if you have to lay them all out for a given puzzle, you're not taking up a ton.
You're still not taking a lot of room, no. No, because these are about, what, I'd probably say like 2.5 inches by 2 inches? They're not even really, not much bigger than that.
The writing on them is great, and I want to say that in the sense of the font being used and readability of them. I know you have made a couple comments recently about font size being an issue. Did you have an issue with any of these?
On some of them, yes. The font was small enough that it was like, what the heck am I looking at? Let me grab my camera. Let me zoom in.
Sure.
Okay, that's what I'm reading. Or even some of the symbology. The other problem was a lot of the colors. There was some color merging, which was causing a little bit of muddledness. So it's like, what am I looking at?
In the Kickstarter right now, they are running what they're calling their Hijinks Hunt, where you are essentially getting a new Hijinks Hunt delivered to your email every day. And they are a variety of puzzles. We've seen all kind of unscrambles, and there's a Sudoku, and there was all manner of solving required on these. And one of the updates, the designer of these did say that color is an issue he has thought about because the nature of puzzle design is erecting artificial barriers in front of the puzzlers. A truly accessible puzzle isn't a puzzle anymore then. So in the Holiday Hijinks games, I, Jonathan, try to avoid using color as a key puzzle element since color blindness is such a prevalent condition. But that doesn't mean I never use color. It means I double code it where I can, adding textures or similar indicators, and try to pick palettes that are as friendly as possible for common types of color perception conditions. And I appreciate the fact that he has written that. I do think that that is the case, that while there are some of the puzzles, in fact, the Easter one is very color-based, he did double code them. You are able to see things. But even there, I did have some muddling issues. One of the icons on it was fairly small.
Yes. Completely agree.
That said, we said this at the top of this small conversation, that my opinion on this has generally been much stronger than yours. But I think we came at them a little differently because I think the big thing that was shown in this, and this is something that we've talked about as a point of contention in certain games, like the way that I reacted to Explore and Draw, is our brains just simply operate in different ways.
Exactly.
And with the exception of the marriage mix-up, which you need 2 players for at least, because you're going to split into teams for that one, you can play all these solo. The problem therein is if you are only playing solo, you only have the way that your brain operates.
Yeah, you only have your way your brain operates. I mean, I do escape rooms a lot. Anywhere between 3 to 5 a year. And I've been doing that for the past, outside of COVID, decade. Because it's what I like to do. It's how my brain brains. I like doing those. I think if some of these puzzles were things I could actually touch, feel, do all the things I would have a much higher opinion of them. I think I've often had problems with the escape room in a box type games. Plus, I was a solo player. And there you go.
One of the high strengths of these versus one of the other escape room in a box games out there, and like you, I've played many of them. My opinion of them has been soured for a long time on a lot of them, which was one of the reasons why I actually had a really good time with these, because they helped bring my opinion back up. One of the things that my brain clicked into much faster than yours, from what it sounds like, is that you are going to use every aspect of these cards. Every aspect of them. Unlike a game in the Exit series, you're not going to use the boxes, but you'll use the front, you'll use the back, you may use the number of the card, or you may need to create an array of cards. Just because there are only 18 cards, there are way more than 18 uses for each one.
Yes, there's multiple manipulations, and what I did enjoy about it was the fact that you could definitely tell that just because I solved the puzzle on card 3 doesn't mean I'm not going to end up having to go back to card 3 to help finish a puzzle later on in the game.
And you may return to card 3 or 4 times.
Multiple times, oh yeah.
Knowing that, your brain didn't click into, you need to use this.
I felt, and again, of course, my opinion, I felt that some of the puzzles were a little too vague. There needed to be just a smidgen of a push. Even though I flipped the cards over, or if there was multiple cards, I'm looking at all of the cards, there just wasn't enough of an indication on some of the cards that this is the direction I need to be going in. And was completely just like lost. And it stunk because I don't like sitting there feeling completely inept, and ended up having to use the hint button multiple times just to get me through it. And I was just like, ugh. But there were other puzzles in that later on that I was like, oh, this is great. One hiccup doesn't spoil the thing. That's why I'm more mid instead of super high or anything like that. I had to do it multiple times.
I think something that should be noted is that each one of these will sit there and on the back of the packaging read a 60-minute mystery for 1 or more sleuths. In the case of the marriage mix-up, it says 2 or more because of that team need, and then it gives a difficulty on a scale of 1 to 3. I personally, after playing 10 of these, would want that scale expanded out to like a 5-point. Because
agreed.
2 is not as even as you would think. But the marriage one I found to be more straightforward than the Groundhog's Day. But again, I actually had a partner in the marriage one. So it very much could just simply be, you can play these solo and you might have fun playing them solo. And if your goal is just solve them, you can get there, you will feel rewarded, you'll have a good time.
Yes.
If you are trying to go on the scoring scale that happens at the end, because depending on how many hints you've used and how long it took you and all that, it does generate a 10-point score. I didn't really ever look at those, but I do think while it says 1 or more, this really should read 2 or more.
It should read 2 or more.
Chaffer did such a good job of having a wide array of puzzle types and solving needs that unless you are a crazy madman like he is, you are not going to have the average person know how to solve every single thing every single time. And that's where you and I fell down into our hint button usage. And when I started working on them with Natalie, my hint button usage went down a pretty good amount because she was picking up where my brain wasn't linking in.
Right. The other thing that I really do enjoy about this is the fact that it gives you the resources right off the bat within the app or on the website. I say app because, of course, I was on my phone. That things like Morse code, the nautical flags, the pig pen ciphers. There were a whole list of things that could potentially be used in any of these puzzles.
Yes.
In fact, the Easter one had 5 of them, gave you your answers, but you're like, oh yeah, I can go look at this really, really quick, because it's like, those are classics. And the fact that they went back to classics, that I loved.
And one of the things I think that is great about that is all those systems, all those ciphers, I now know semaphore much better than I thought I ever would.
Right.
They are just listed in an information section.
Yep, it's just an information side.
You're not penalized at all for opening them or using them in any way, and not all of them will always be used.
No.
So there are plenty of them that are just red herrings because, it's there, but you're never going to use it.
Correct.
I did like the fact that I felt like I was being engaged in many different ways with this, and it was challenging me in a way that made me feel like I walked out of this experience with all these feeling like I am a better cryptographic analyzer, but also I just have a deeper appreciation of how many more puzzle types are actually out there than even what I've seen in the past.
Yes, I do very much appreciate the level of knowledge that was put into these games, because, there was things that I haven't seen Pigpen since I did that in like elementary and junior high school, sending notes to friends. It's been a long time. I really enjoyed it. The fact that that was brought back, that was really neat. The Braille, the Morse code, those things. Love that stuff. And the fact that these things were done in different formats. So you're all of a sudden like, wait a second. I think I see what's going on here. And then you have to go back and you're like, and okay. There was a lot of aha moments that made me feel really, really good.
There was a particular moment in the Independence incident, which is the July 4th one. I looked at that puzzle and went, I don't know how to read this. This is not a skill set I have. I really wish Natalie was playing with me. And then that was one of the ones that I had to use the hint button on. And it said, look here on the card. And I went, oh, I am vastly overthinking this. It is using a different system that is just masquerading as this other thing.
Gotcha.
That was one of those like, moments. And I think that is an important note for going into this series of games. Your first one's going to be rough. Independence Incident was not my first one. I started with the Birthday Burglary.
So did I.
And I am glad that I started there because it is one of the ones that is ranked 1 out of 3 on difficulty. But because I was approaching so many different puzzle types that I hadn't run into or I hadn't run into in that format before, I struggled because I didn't know exactly what the game wanted out of me.
Right.
We had a conversation about this when we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, where that first one is just rough as you acclimate yourself to the system. And then once you have acclimated yourself to it, you think, oh, this was in a prior one. I know what they're shooting for here. And I had a much better operative state with them because I knew, use this array or do this or whatever.
Yeah, I just ran into too many where I was like, oh, I'm doing really good on this one, and I'm just trucking along feeling really good, and then all of a sudden I hit, and I'm like, oh, dead stop. And I had that with each one that I had. So it was just like, yeah, it kind of took the wind out of my sails.
I'm sitting here looking at all of my ratings because I've rated them all in Board Game Geek, and the ones that I have rated the highest are the ones that I did not have that. The ones that I've rated the lowest are the ones where I hit some wall and it felt like it didn't make sense. Most of the time, if I was given a puzzle and I couldn't get the answer on my own because, again, I was playing it alone or whatever reason, and I hit the hints, I could then either figure it out, or if I was truly lost, I could look at the answer and say, oh, this is exactly how you get this answer. Only once through the course of all 10 of them did I have a moment where like, I do not know how you got this answer. And I actually looked up a video playthrough of somebody. It was the final puzzle of the Valentine Day one where we had properly assembled 90% of what it wanted. We just couldn't figure out how it wanted us to get the answers to translate them. And once I realized it, it was that, oh, I get it. But that one dropped my score on that particular entry a whole 2 points.
Gotcha.
The only other thing that I want to say is going to be a negative is if you are not an American, you will have a tough time on some of these. These are very much angled around the lens of American holidays. The Independence Incident, which is arguably my favorite of them. I really enjoyed that one. I was able to go into some puzzles and say, oh, we're going to do X thing. Y is going to be my answer. I'm still going to solve the puzzle so that way I can go through it and understand how we get there, but I know this answer already. If you are not somebody that has a knowledge of American holidays or history or similar, you're going to really struggle on some of these.
Agreed. You really need to have some American knowledge to be able to really help you with some of these puzzles.
It just requires that regionalized knowledge, which is weird to say because I don't know how often that would come up in the other escape room games out there.
Very true. Most of the escape room games that I have played, yeah, they're more general. You don't have to have a specialized set of knowledge. It's just basically the puzzle themselves.
Like the Groundhog's Day one, it's not a lot in there, but there are a couple of pop culture things that if you know the pop culture references, you get it immediately. But if you don't have that background, you're going to struggle a little bit. With all that stated, just as a system, let's do our standard table shuffle trade. So where would you put the Holiday Hijinks system?
This would definitely have to be a trade for me. I think it's a fantastic system. I think as a set, it's really, really cool. I like the fact that there are only 18 cards. There's a lot of great things that are going on here. I just had enough issues with several of the puzzles that it really was a wah-wah situation that caused it to be relatively a sour experience for me. That I got out of it. I mean, I got to the end and I solved the end, but I was just like, man, that one puzzle just like really killed it. Like, you know, I had one that was an hour and 16 minutes. Yeah, I was by myself, but still, like an hour and 16 minutes, that stunk.
The shortest that I had finished one was something like 38, 39 minutes. And then the longest one, which was a Groundhog's Day, because this one is in 2 parts.
Okay.
That was about an hour and a half. I think the Valentine's Day, if you took out the time that we burnt on the last puzzle, was like an hour 10.
My shortest was 56 minutes.
Coming at this, if I were to composite all my scores together, the series comes out quite high. I really enjoyed my time with the vast majority of these. I really want to see what more is done with the Endangered Rescue series. Really, really liked the tonal shift away, which led to an entire different set of puzzle design that was available to them.
Oh, yeah. I totally think that the Endangered Species line, if they do go into that route, I think it's going to be phenomenal. It's definitely going to be something I would be interested in seeing. And the fact that there's so many things that they could do if they sit there and decide to do a shift of theme. That might be also the thing, you know.
That goes a long way with you.
And that does go a long way with me. I like holidays. Holidays are fine. The only holiday I really care about is Halloween and my birthday.
So knowing that about the way that I'm looking at this, I have a couple of small caveats. The first one, if you are not an American, if you don't have that regionalized knowledge, you might have some struggles. If you don't have access to a computer or a laptop or an iPad or something, you can't use them, which is a bummer. I did use it on a phone, a tablet, and a computer, all 3, and the web interface is perfectly optimized for all of them.
Oh, yeah, those are amazing.
Which is great. But you also have to remember at the end of the day, they're one and done.
Yeah.
For you. What's nice is that you put in the investment for them, and then you just get to pass them on.
Oh, yeah.
And these will absolutely be getting passed on to people in my circle that will enjoy these.
Oh, yeah.
With all that said, for me, these are an incredibly strong table. By the nature of them being a one-time experience, I'm not going to say it's a shelf for me because I can't repeat it over and over.
Correct.
But they are strong enough puzzles that even though it's been a few weeks since I've done some of these, when you and I had a conversation about them, I remember the puzzles immediately. So I think the puzzle design is incredibly strong.
Agreed.
Their profile is phenomenal. The Kickstarter ends on November 8th, and there are 3 new ones in the line. It also sounds like there's going to be a collector's box of some kind to store them all in, and those are a sequel to Christmas. The first one was Kringle Caper. It is now the Krampus Caper.
Oh, no.
There's one for St. Patrick's Day, and there's one for New Year's Day.
Oh, nice.
Which I'm actually probably most excited for that one. The reason we ended up even talking to Mark at Grand Gamers Guild and we ended up in this is because I had picked up Tierna Nog at Gen Con, absolutely fell in love with it, still fell in love with it. I can't wait for you to try it. And when I started talking to him about it, we just got into a conversation. Really nice guy. And so that's how we were able to come here. And then we just want to support him back. And we're not affiliated with the campaign in any way, but we wanted to just say, we've played the entire series. And I think if you like escape rooms, if you like a wide array of puzzle variety, and you want something that you can do with yourself or potentially with your family, since holidays are coming up, each one of these are only $10. It's not a bad get.
Yeah, that's not a bad investment. And like I said, just because I had a bad time doesn't mean anyone else is going to have a bad time. I struggle with escape rooms in a box. Always have. It's much easier for me to actually be in the physical space. That's just how my brain works. But I think, honestly, there's going to be a ton of people that are going to get these, and they're going to absolutely love them.
And I think what ultimately helps them is that every single puzzle in those makes sense. They all work. There's no moment, because there are some escape rooms in a box. You and I and Natalie just played one recently.
Oh, yeah, where we just went, nope, we're done.
Because it didn't work.
It didn't work.
I never had that issue here. Once I realized the final puzzle of Valentine's Day, the Cupid Crisis, it all clicked. I'm like, oh, there it is. Every puzzle makes sense. Every puzzle works. These are a very, very strong table for me. I will happily be paying attention to this campaign and future ones. I'm really enjoying these, especially since their Kickstarter's up right now and the holidays are coming up. Look into them. These are the Holiday Hijinks, as well as the Endangered Rescue from Grand Gamers Guild. Their Kickstarter is currently going until November 8th, and then they will be regularly available from Grand Gamers Guild and their website. So with that, Scott, I'm bored of you.
The feeling is completely mutual. I think I'm going to go escape.
Keen.
Keen?